In the harsh American West of 1884, Clara Whitmore had learned to survive alone. She didn't need a husband, and she certainly didn't need anyone telling her how to run her ranch. But one cold evening, a weary stranger named Samuel Carter arrived at her gate with an exhausted horse and nowhere else to go. He asked only for one night's shelter, but fate had other plans. As winter closed in, the two lonely souls began to discover that sometimes the person you never expected can become the one you never want to lose. Before we begin, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And let's get started. In the autumn of 1884, the little town of Red Creek, Wyoming, was already preparing for the bitter winter ahead. The cottonwood leaves had turned golden, and every evening a cold wind swept down from the distant mountains. At the edge of town stood a modest ranch belonging to Clara Whitmore. Clara was 28 years old, and for nearly 5 years she had managed the ranch alone. Her father had passed away without leaving her a fortune, only 40 acres of stubborn land, an old farmhouse, 12 horses, and a weather-beaten barn. The townspeople often wondered why she never married. Some women pitied her. Some men believed she was simply waiting for the right offer, but Clara had no interest in either. "I have no need for a husband," she would say whenever the subject arose. "I have 2 strong hands, a good horse, and enough courage to use both." She meant every word. One evening, as the sun disappeared behind the mountains, Clara was repairing a broken section of fence when she heard the distant sound of hoofbeats. She straightened and looked toward the dusty road. A lone rider approached. His horse moved slowly, its head hanging low from exhaustion. The rider himself looked scarcely better. His coat was torn at the shoulder, his boots were covered in mud, and a faded saddlebag hung across his back. When he reached the fence, he stopped. "Evening, ma'am," he said. Clara kept one hand near the rifle resting against the fence post. "Evening? My name is Samuel Carter. I have ridden nearly 30 miles today. My horse needs water, and I would be grateful for a place to rest until morning." Clara studied him. "You passing through?" "Yes." "Where are you headed?" Samuel hesitated. "Truthfully, ma'am, I don't know." That answer made Clara suspicious. Still, she could see the exhaustion in his face. "You can water your horse," she said, "and you may sleep in the barn." Samuel removed his hat. "Thank you. But understand something," Clara added firmly. "I don't tolerate thieves, drunks, or troublemakers." A faint smile crossed his face. "Neither do I." That night, Clara watched from her window as Samuel settled beside his horse in the barn. She expected him to leave at sunrise, but when morning came, she found him repairing the broken fence without being asked. "You don't have to do that," Clara said. Samuel tightened the wire. "I know." For the first time in years, Clara did not know what to say, and neither of them realized that the stranger who had arrived seeking only one night of shelter was about to change the course of both their lives. Samuel Carter had intended to leave Red Creek after one night, but the morning brought a heavy snowstorm that covered the road and made travel impossible. Clara told him he could remain until the weather cleared. By the 3rd day, Samuel had repaired the barn roof, fixed the broken wagon wheel, and strengthened the fence along the northern pasture. "You work as though you owe this place something," Clara remarked. Samuel looked toward the fields. "Perhaps I do." Clara soon learned that Samuel had once owned a small ranch in Colorado. A fire had destroyed it, and shortly afterward he had lost the only family he had left. Since then, he had wandered from one town to another, never staying long enough to call anywhere home. "I suppose I forgot how to stay," he admitted one evening. Clara understood more than she wanted to admit. She had stayed, but she had built walls around herself. Weeks passed, and Samuel became part of the daily rhythm of the ranch. He never ordered Clara about or questioned her decisions. Instead, he worked beside her. One afternoon, a merchant from town arrived with an offer to purchase Clara's land. "It is a fair price," he insisted. "A woman shouldn't have to struggle with a ranch alone." Clara refused. Samuel said nothing until the merchant left. "You agree with him?" she asked. "No." "Then why didn't you speak?" Samuel smiled gently. "Because you don't need me to defend your choices." Those words touched Clara more deeply than any declaration of love could have. That evening, she found Samuel packing his saddlebag. "You're leaving? I've stayed too long." Clara looked at him quietly. "You have somewhere to go?" Samuel shook his head. "Not really." "Then why leave?" "Because I came here as a stranger, Clara. I don't want to become a burden." She stepped closer. "You repaired my barn. You fixed my fences. You worked beside me through the snow. You were never a burden." Samuel looked into her eyes. "And what am I then?" Clara took a breath. "Perhaps you're home." For a long moment, neither spoke. Samuel slowly reached for her hand. "I never thought I'd hear those words again." Clara smiled. "And I never thought I'd want someone beside me." Spring arrived in Red Creek, covering the valley with green grass and wildflowers. Clara still did not need a husband. Samuel still did not need a house. But together, they had found something neither had been searching for, a place where two lonely hearts could finally belong.